This is the life of Moses. Well, a big part of his life. If we went over his whole life, we'd be here all day. So, a very, 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 very long time ago, the people of Israel were slaves in Egypt. The king of Egypt was called Pharaoh. Pharaoh was not a very nice person, and that's putting it lightly. Long story short, Pharaoh was getting nervous that the growing population of the Israelites would mean they would eventually overthrow him. So he did something super evil. He ordered that all Israelite male babies be killed. Yep, super evil, told you so. Well, as this order was being carried out, an Israelite mother put her baby boy in a basket and sent it floating down the Nile River to try and save him. In that basket was Moses. Baby Moses, just chilling on the Nile, and probably freaking out since mom just sent him on the biggest water slide. What are you doing, Mom? I'm a baby. I don't know how to swim. Someone throw me a raft. Now, ironically, the Pharaoh's daughter found Moses on the Nile, fell in love with that baby face, and decided to raise Moses as her own. So, Moses grew up in a palace as a prince, which means he probably got free snacks. I'm talking shish kebabs, tacos, smoothies, or ice cream whenever he wanted. Don't forget the chimichangas. Anyway, Moses was sad because while he lived in the palace, the rest of his people, the Israelites, were still slaves and treated terribly by Pharaoh. So Moses tried to help them, but the Israelites didn't want his help because he was a prince and they didn't trust him. I mean, his adopted evil grandpa Pharaoh did attempt to murder him and a bunch of other babies, so I don't blame him. Moses felt like he didn't belong anywhere, so he ran away to a place called Midian and married his wife, Zipporah. Hey, Zippor, or whatever your name is, from the moment I met you, which was last Friday, I knew I wanted you to be my bride. Will you marry me?
Yes. Gosh, took you long enough.
Well, one day Moses was taking care of his sheep when he saw a bush that was on fire. And instead of totally freaking out and yelling, "Fire, fire, fire," like a normal person, he instead walked up to the bush all like, "Oh, hey, bush, why aren't you burning when you're on fire?" Well, that's plumb wild, ain't it? But then he heard the bush say,
"Moses."
And Moses responded, "Here I am." Turns out, God was appearing to Moses through the fire of the bush and asked Moses to help save the Israelites from Pharaoh and slavery. Well, that kind of freaked Moses out. What? He felt like he wasn't good enough to do what God was asking him to do. Moses questioned God and doubted his choice to have Moses free the Israelite people. He was afraid that nobody would listen to him or that he would fail at what God was asking him to do. But God reminded Moses not to fear.
"Do not fear.
And that he would be with him through it all.
I will be with you through it all."
The good news is, God loves us even when we have a hard time trusting him. And even though Moses doubted himself, God was with him and gave him the strength to go back to Egypt and free the Israelite people from Pharaoh. It wasn't easy, and Moses was scared, but Moses belonged to God and was used to do big things for him.